Every complex form in the universe has to start somewhere. Geometrically, it begins with a single point, a simple coordinate in space that expands outward in all directions to form a perfect circle. If you take that circle and duplicate it, the space where they overlap creates an almond shape known as the vesica piscis. And if you keep adding circles at equal distances, that basic intersection rapidly multiplies into a dense, interlocking grid known as the flower of life. These lines define a physical reality. The mathematical ratios found within these interlocking circles govern the division of cells, the arrangement of flower petals, and the structural frameworks of historic buildings. Across millennia, disconnected cultures recognized these repeating mathematical patterns. They used this shared geometric language to design spaces that felt ordered, beautiful, and deeply connected to the cosmos. Sacred geometry adds a layer of cultural and spiritual interpretation to the raw mathematics of space and shape. Different shapes carry traditional meanings. Because it has no beginning or end, the pure circle represents unity and eternity. The triangle represents stability and upward ascent, reflecting the Holy Trinity. The square represents the earth, raw matter, and the rigidity of physical structure. Looking at this historical diagram, you can see how the ancient Greeks applied these ideas to three-dimensional space. Plato theorized that 5 specific, highly symmetrical 3D shapes, the Platonic solids, corresponded to the physical elements and the cosmos, using them to model planetary orbits. Ancient philosophers believed these geometric laws mapped the structural logic of the universe. But long before anyone was mapping planetary orbits or drafting architectural plans, early humans were observing this mathematical order in the wild. They saw highly structured rules playing out in the biology and physics of the natural world. For instance, the physical growth of many plants is dictated by the Fibonacci sequence, a mathematical series where each number is the sum of the 2 before it. This sequence creates the golden ratio, an exact proportion that dictates the tight, outward spiraling arrangement of seeds in the center of a sunflower. Meanwhile, physical forces lead to highly efficient, repeating geometric grids. Bees naturally construct honeycombs using closely packed hexagons, because that specific 6-sided shape maximizes storage space while using the absolute minimum amount of wax. And when water freezes, it forms ice crystals that branch out in strict hexagonal structures, resulting in the precise 6-pointed radial symmetry of a snowflake. This happens due to the absolute chemical constraints of water molecules bonding together. What early civilizations once interpreted as magic is actually the outward expression of the physical, chemical, and biological laws governing the world. Human architects mirror this natural order to construct spaces designed to evoke the divine. As we can see in this structural overlay of the Parthenon in Athens, builders utilized the proportions of the golden ratio to space the columns and design the facade, creating a building that feels naturally harmonious to the human eye. In Islamic art, designers turned to mathematics to represent the infinite. They developed complex, interlocking tile patterns to decorate their mosques. These geometric grids repeat forever without breaking form, visually representing the boundless unity of creation. During the Middle Ages, master builders constructed towering Gothic cathedrals using techniques called regulating lines. By starting from a central point and using basic circles, squares, and triangles, they could precisely position every column, arch, and vault to maintain perfect proportionality. That emphasis on pure shape is most visible in the massive rose windows set into cathedral facades. Built around the geometry of the circle and strict radial symmetry, the window acts as a physical symbol of eternity staring down at the congregation. While sacred geometry is a broad umbrella term describing how different cultures use shapes, some traditions developed highly specific, rigorously defined geometric constructs for their spiritual practices. In Hindu and Buddhist traditions, visualizing a mandala involves mapping out a complex, centralized palace of geometric forms. It serves as an intensive meditative tool, guiding the practitioner's focus through concentric squares and circles toward a single center point. Translating math into art and architecture became our universal tool for bridging the earthly world with the spiritual. Rigorous mathematics govern the spirals of nautilus shells and the complex tilings of ancient temples. However, a strict boundary separates that structural reality from speculative mysticism. Claims that specific geometric shapes emit literal healing frequencies or that they contain a secret code to the universe are currently unsupported by empirical science. The actual explanation for why these shapes feel so profound is rooted in human psychology. Our brains are evolutionarily hardwired to seek out patterns and recognize symmetry within the noise and chaos of our environment. Finding that visual order provides real physiological benefits. Symmetrical objects are naturally pleasing to the human eye. Repeating sequences calm the nervous system, and highly centralized designs act as an anchor for a wandering attention span. The practice of sacred geometry marries this innate biological need for visual order with deep cultural rituals and contemplative practices. Strip away the cathedrals, the mandalas, and the endless tile work, and every complex application dissolves back into the basic elements of dimension and form. The utility of sacred geometry lies in the human act of using math to find comfort and order in the universe.